Adaline, you just rebel against everything. How are you going to survive? I don't know. I'm already tired. Charles Bukowski. Adeline unhooks her brashear, then opens a car compartment. She pulls out a CD album, All This or Nothing, by the Psychedelic Furs, and sets it to track 4, Sister Europe. Carlton is undressing himself patiently. His school uniform, with the silly insignia of a red moon, lay on the headboard. His jeans are all rolled up completely, as Ada emerged from her pearl, recalling Botticelli's The Bird of Venus. His arousal deepened as Ada started swaying towards him, in mastery of their limited space. Broken on a ship of pools, even dreams must fall to rules, so stupidly. Words are all just useless sounds. Carlton buries his face in her head of slashing flames, kissing her neck like a wildebeest, catching the ends of a centrail. Her breast offered safe passage for his strong inhales, mapping the trip for primal seduction. As the psychedelic music ran, she felt each note play under her skin, and her body was being summoned by a wild ancestral lust, making contact with a primordial sexual self. A plane would fly overhead rather low, but its powerful engines did not interfere with their flight into higher planes of entry and re-entry. School is over soon, they will see us. I hope so, Ada. I feel guilty not sharing you. How was the job interview? Ada returned a hard kiss and hid behind each shoulder to kiss him there. I was hired on the spot, Carlton said, pulling back his body to have a glance at the universe, concentrating all of heaven's light on Adeline's charming form. I called it. I'm so proud of you, Carl. Ada lays back on her seat, reclining so as to generously catch the light from their tinted windows. The noon sun hid behind a storm, as clouds were in debate of how to tax and disenthrall the young lovers inside a borrowed car in the parking lot of their high school. Carlton went on his knees and sailed his dreamless tongue through Ada's coastlines, overdosing in their version of give and take. A canister slid from under the passenger seat and hit Carlton on the knee, halting his expedition of Ada. He took hold of the canister, pops the lid, and took a whip. Scotch? He took a swig and passes it to Ada as she sat up and fixed her seat. God bless you, Rico. She takes a shot and laughs at Carlton's fullness, taking pride of her affections for a man she sincerely is overjoyed to share herself with. He makes for the back seat and lays there, one hand behind his head, the other pressing a button which opens the window halfway. Ada met him in the back and produced a cigarette for him, lights it as the scotch sets in. She lays beside him, and he'll cover her with his protective arms. They were melting on each other. There's an Islam saying. Carlton exhaled, making smoke pass through Ada's long locks of fiery wool. Trust in God, but tie your camel, Ada would say, making Carlton laugh insidiously loud, pulling a torn blanket over him and Ada. A knock came from outside the car, yet they pretended to be oblivious to it for some time, until the two finished each other off, under their solace of darkness. Finally, Ada was first to emerge, breathless. She began wiping herself and Carlton dry with their cloud of ecstasy. Then it got tossed to the car floor. A face emerged from outside the window. Carlton couldn't find his jeans, so he sat on his underwear. Ada crossed her legs and set her head back, propping her breast forward comfortably for their sojourning witness. She'll pull the windows down a bit to let the stranger speak. Can we help you, Jericho? Carlton would say, as he sat back on his seat. He began unfolding the ripped blanket, covering what he can of Ada in a playful manner. But Ada refused to be obscured and hidden, so Carlton left her well enough alone. Ada crossed her arms and uncrossed them for Jericho, reaching a melting point, sweating, as it was indeed getting hot. Rico, thanks for lending us your car, she'll say, uncrossing her arms, dancing with subtlety to the dreamlike melodies, vibrating through the car speakers. "Isn't she lovely?" Carlton would say, watching her. "Pass me my keys, Carlton. Get out of my car. I'm asking nicely," he'd say, all resigned and sighing onto the window, causing perspiration to appear. "Jesus, if only you two were romanticists, I'd enjoy watching Ada bite your head off," he'd crack through the crack of the slightly opened window. Carlton was in high spirits about the report. He pressed the window a little lower down, enough for Jericho to push his nose through. "There has been plenty of head biting," Ada would say to nobody in particular, making Carlton choke on a laugh. "Come on, at least let us finish this song. It's, unique." "Yeah, you have such a weird taste in music, Jer," Ada chimed in, using her flight attendant voice. "I quite like it. I would dance to this. I would fuck to this again." She did a heavy accent to end it, and broke Carlton in the process. He was hysterical. Jericho stood still, speechless. She did not plan his ambush through. "For the love of God," Rico finally said. "We are doing this for the love of God. As a descendant of Eve, I must honor and exercise my femininity to the fullest. Like, say, find myself an Adam and bite around him till I satisfy his core. Hmm?" Carlton was in awe of Ada, and clapped like a seal for Jericho, looking in from heaven's window. Ada mimics Rico as he uncrossed his arms to rub at his temple. He was wide-eyed about the smoothness of motions in the dimming back seat. The clouds rumbled. Jericho laughs and disarms the two angels on fire. "I confess." "Confess to what, Jer?" "If you want to join us, just ask." Carlton spoke half jokingly, winking at Jericho, amused as holy sin. "I'm massively in love with your twin sister," he'd say, adorning tonal forgiveness. The two waited for the air to thin, and for the embers to sparkle away before any of what Jericho said registered. Carlton speaks. "At least now you know the acres of Eden they're working with. Why haven't you made a move on Vivian yet?" Carlton gave Jer the whole window to look through, hoping he won't get choked by Jericho's strong hands. "You got a car, drive her somewhere, just the two of you," Ada would say, uncrossing her arms in repose. She spoke softly. "I plan to court her my way, but thanks for the suggestion. There's a showing of All About Eve in the theater downtown." Jer would shake his head in quick defiance of his romantic plan. "I don't think she'll like that." Already he doubts his way through to Vivian. "Why don't you just ask her what she wants to do?" Carlton would say kindly, as he finds his jeans and began to wear it, producing Ada's articles too. "Yeah, good luck with that, Jer. I'll put in a good word for you," Ada would say, settling into her clothes and missing the coolness that once donned her fields. "I would appreciate that," Jericho would say, looking mighty encouraged. He would reach through the window to unlock the car door. "Now fuck off. I'm late for a dental appointment," he'd say, shooing the two creatures out. Carlton steps out first, holding his shoes and socks, wondering where his t-shirt went. Ada got off, barefoot, leaving her sister's sandals in the back seat, expecting Vivian to find them at a future moment. Carlton closed the car door. Rain began to drizzle, and watered them like buds in bloom. Jericho got inside the car and found the driver's seat, starting the engines. He'd back up the parking space like a loose tooth, and away he sped. Suddenly, a t-shirt flew off from the window. "My shirt!" Carlton ran to it, smiling at Ada from a distance. She stood still, letting the rain intimate with her being. "What are you going to tell Viv?" Carlton would say, placing his shirt over Ada as they made way for the bus stop. "I'll tell her he has nice teeth." It is an hour to midnight. Ada started fixing her grandfather a bat. Beria is in his late 80s. A few strands of red hair remained on his head. His ubiquitous wit was Earth's finest. Ada sets her entire arm inside the water, making infinities and gorgeously sliding circles. She'll grant Barriera a smile, cueing him with a nod. The young woman made sweet eye contact with the grown child. Arctic cold, just how you like it, Ada said sing-songly. If it's hot like a Louisiana swamp, I'll grab you by the roots and drown you. Barry unchained into singing back with his orchestra of artificial biters. With what strength, Pop-Pop? Ada laughs and kisses the stubborn child on the forehead. She gently undressed him, taking off his undershirt and boxing shorts with loving awareness, then lifts him off his wheelchair like peeling off a single petal on a rose, carrying the heavy-headed but light-framed body of the grown child onto the tub. Rigid in her hold, Beria felt her haste. What's the rush from, Cheddar? Sorry, she'd say, laying a kind hand on each cheek apologetically. Beria sways in the water, shaking his head, refusing to accept his new bed. Not cold enough, Adaline. I need you to fix it now. Fix it now, he'd say, raising his arms as a threat for a violent splashing. Don't have a fit, Pop-Pop. Okay, I'll fix it. Your madness. Ada ran the cold water and fills a bucket to discard into the toilet before the tub got too full. I know what you're thinking. I always know. Your grandmother is oblivious, but not me, Beria would say, feeling his hand through the running water. It's close enough. He shuts the water and takes Ada by the wrist. You think I can see through these doors when you lock me in after you dunk me inside my Arctic coffin? Come clean, Rumchetta. Are you taking Pearl's jewelry? Beria squeezed the young girl's arm. So what, Pop-Up? She bought them using my money, and Bibian's too. She never gives us our full allowances, and you'd think Mom will do something about it, but she doesn't even care enough to come back down to Earth. She's happy up there, where we can't reach her, and as far, far away from the both of you as possible. Adaline made half circles on the tub while she ran her mouth, making the area perk up with layers of genius pride. Promise me you will not become a flight attendant too. Otherwise, there'd be nobody to fix me my Arctic baths, he'd say, all naive and hurt. No, of course not. I love it here, on land. Until you have a stroke in one of these stupid baths, I will never tire from blow-drying your hair, clipping your nails, putting you in clothes you don't like, playing your Costello records. That's a promise, kiddo. You remind me so much of your mother, more than Vivi, he'd say, tense and tearful. Ada noticed. Even though his entire face was cold and wet, she wiped it anyways with her thumb. We're twins. How could I be more like Mom than her? She asked, flicking the water. You're fragile. Your mother was too. This was even before that damn pilot broke her, Barry expressed, pouring water on his head with cupped hands. You mean our father? Adaline broke into harmful fits of laughter. Hey, that bozo is long dead. We do not speak ill of the dead. But that fucking bastard, what he did is unforgivable. I hope to see him soon so I can really give him hell. Barry raised an arm and his knuckles doomed Ada's dry clothes. But I'm happy though, he'd say, as Adaline ran her eyes on the distressed child. Why is that, Pop-Pop? She'd provoke. You girls are here. I guess when stars fall from the sky, the meteor isn't always going for the destruction of your home. The hole it makes harbors life. Barrier skirted through his lines carefully. I'm a polar bear. He'd roar wildly at Adaline. I can't take you seriously sometimes, Ada said. You love me anyways, he blurted, before going underwater. Because why not? She said, as her starlit eyes glowed at his majestic emergence, and water spilled around the edges in loads. I don't care what you do with Pearl's jewelry. Do what you think you should do. Just don't let this keep you up at night, Beria told her, as Ada watched water go down the drain. Thanks, Papa. Adeline produced the bubble bath formula for Beria to consider. Bubbles? Yea or nay? She asked, in which Beria shook his head with earnest refusal. Hey, spoke she. Yep, what is it now? Spoke he. Why won't you let Biv take tonight's shift? Adeline asked. She made the grown child sit up on the tub, arms all relaxed on his sides. She's not as delicate as you are, he answered. Oh, okay. Still, you should give her a chance to get to know you. Ada went to the mirror and began to apply eyeliner. Pop, I can't let you use my car. It needs repairs, and you don't have a license, Beria would say, reaching for the bubble formula and producing the most he could without the prying eyes of the young lady. My boyfriend could fix it. His father is a chief engineer. He has a garage. Adeline looked in the mirror, watching the grown child pouring bubbles over his scalp with cupped hands. The polar bear was grinning from ear to ear, catching Adeline's reaction. She loved making faces for him when he thinks she's not watching. A new one? What's this tool shed rat's name? Beria blew a handful of bubbles. Carlton Hayes. You'll like him, he has guts already spilling out of his stomach, she'd say, finishing with her left eye and inspected her work before returning to her stool to play lifeguard for the grown child. Now you really remind me of your mother. Beria laughs and waves a hand away. Water almost got on Adeline's makeup. She stood up, protecting her face. Okay, I'm leaving now. You'll be okay till I get back? I'm alright, go ahead. Are you sure? Just make it look like nothing was taken. You're lucky she doesn't keep inventory. She's a were once and then leave to dust sort of horse cunt. It used to be a safe place she kept my love letters when we were your age. Now it's a hollow meaningless thing. Go. Happy thieving, Ramchetta. Ada went back on her stool and looked the old man in his many eyes as the bubbles consumed him. Anything else? You got this brilliant habit of calling for me after the doors close. I hate that with a passion, Papa. She'd clear the bubbles from his face to reveal the grown child's guilty mask of shamelessness. Let me think, what's left in my aging skull to forget? He tapped his temples adorably. Then he dunked his head under water and emerged like a dolphin's back. Splashing once more, he threatens Ada's eye job, and the bathroom drain got a new wave of escapees. I'm sure you'll remember when I pick you up next week. No, hold on, it's coming. I don't want Pearl to walk in on me. Speed it up, kid. Oh, fuck her, she's staying overnight at Amy's. As if I didn't know she's actually at Marlin's. I should have left that prosty decades ago. He whips Ada with a fit of laughter, which sends shivers down her spine. I'm not even going to touch that one. Quit getting your head hot, you'll burn it. I'm not even going to touch that. Quit getting your head hot. You'll boil in that water like a whole chicken, Adeline countered, making the young chicken cackle with his open beak. I got it. I know what you could do for me. This last thing. The neighborhood flowers are at their prime. Finally, I need you to thieve a little more for my benefit. Get me a score of gladiolas, chrysanthemums, and carnations. Pretty please, Ramchetta. He said it all kindly, as if reading from his last will and testament. Let me take 2 from Pearl's box then, she responds. Take the whole fucking box for all I care. What the hell, Adeline? Didn't I teach you not to expect anything back when helping somebody? Just the act itself is reward enough. I'm sorry. Hey, you also taught me not to steal or whore myself to weak men, yet you want me to steal flowers from people's gardens. And as for the weak men, Ada got a wicked smirk out of that. I got it. I trust you could do this. Beria made a soldier's salute. That will be done, Pop. Good. Now ciao. Go away. Ada set for the door and closed it, admiring Beria's vigorous soul. A few moments later she returns, feeling undone by a longing to know something nibbling at her mind. She enters the bathroom and sits on her stool. Beria sat up in wonderment. Not sick of me yet, he observed right. Where did Ramchado come from? She asked. Well, you were a demon baby who would take 8-hour shifts of non-stop crying. The only breathing space me and Pearl could get was by adding a finger of her Ramchada in your baby formula. A finger? That seems extreme. Look how you turned out. Shit. I think that's one thing I can love Pearl for. Nope, love's too good a word. Appreciate sounds sufficient. Okay, Adaline, no more useless sounds. Fuck off already. I can love you though, Papa, she'd say, disarming the grown child, enjoying the rapport with his granddaughter. Ada made for the door while Beria is silenced by Adaline's line. See you next week. Beria began fashioning a beard of white, while thinking about Pearl's young body. Ho, ho, ho. Ada eyes the jewelry box, sitting on top of Pearl's dresser. She finds the key inside a Chinese lamp. It was hovering above a framed photo of the twins as infants. It does right next to a Buddha made of green marble, set on top of a King James Bible, open to Psalms, chapter 46, verse 5. It reads, God is within her. She will not fall. Ada pockets a set of diamond earrings, when suddenly she is introduced to a second compartment. She pulls on a small yellow string, opening a hatch. To her virgin eyes, it wasn't all too eventful to see multicolored moonstones, so she'll dig inside, yearning for gold rings and real silver. Suddenly something sharp stabbed a finger deep. It bled and spills onto her palm. She'll suck on it in the meantime, going back in to see what marked her. Tied to a silver lace is a crescent moon bracelet. She'll pocket the fragile apparatus, carefully, pocketing a few moonstones, the color of sapphire, ruby, silver, and gold. She'll close the box and locks it, returning the key inside the Chinese lamp, finding herself reading the Psalms passage again, before letting Buddha's green ass meditate on it. Her finger continued to bleed. She couldn't help herself and drew a line upon their young mother, creating this red border in between her twin. She smiled sadly at the twin babies in that picture, being held by a mother who, after 5 years, would be up in the clouds working, for many years on end, never to come back home for long periods of unrecoverable time. She took that picture to the queen bed Beria sleeps most nights alone in, and fell asleep as the blood dries on the glass. Ramchada! She woke up, with eyeliner all compromised, after being drowned in a boiling swamp inside a fever dream. I'm here. Ada choked on a whimper. She entered the bathroom and sat on her stool, still feeling like she hasn't fully arrived in the real world just as yet. Reading the room, Beria washed the eyeliner off his granddaughter's face. Adaline wept. Vivian is admiring herself in the vanity, modeling different colored bras while listening to a George Carlin record. She'll ad-lib the next part. May the forces of evil become confused on the way to your house. She got a kick out of that one. She lets her pajama pants fall to the floor, continued admiring her whole body in the glass. A racetrack lamp circulates a piano melody. A horse rider's shadow swish from one wall to the next in colorful lights. Carlton enters from the window, stepping inside the room without knocking anything over. He seems to have had practice. With lightning steps, he embraces Vivian from behind, pressing her against him lustfully. The Carlton tape ends. The Carlton tape begins. Weather forecast for the night? Dark. Carlton quoting Carlin, Vivian felt was a slightly bothersome phenomena. He's so funny, why can't you make me laugh like that? Viv would say, looking at Carlton all hot and comfortable, beginning to kiss the curve of her shoulders, making it appear as if she had 3 heads. Are these new? I've never seen you in them before. Wow, Ada, you look so divine, he'd say with bated breaths, as he got playful with his hands, squeezing her breasts aggressively. She felt his teeth on her neck, as kisses began to detonate. Vivian moves away, as draining water vibrates through the floorboards. In a matter of seconds, her pajamas are on her, and she's wearing an Elvis Costello t-shirt a size larger than she actually is. Carlton tried to hide his arousal, as guilt sets in at light speed. No way, he'd say, biting his bottom lip hard. Vivian pointed behind Carlton's shoulder, being told to fly out the window. Top bunk, now. His sigh of relief made her amused as holy sin. Vivi, how could you? Footsteps began to sound. The door opens, just as Carlton climbs up the top bunk and hid underneath a black duvet, patterned with pink roses. Ada walks in, embracing her sister all of a sudden. Knowing exactly how to talk to her twin sister, Bib would put on a Costello record. The song Allison was summoned to exist and unify them. They swayed like black trees in the forest that grew too close to each other. Adaline, I know this world is killing you. Oh, Adaline, my aim is true. Bib would sing, and she had a good voice too. Carlton peeks from the blanket of pink roses. I'm headed out. Want to come? Who's going to be there? Just Carlton. We're headed by the pawn shop. Then maybe I could introduce you to Jericho. Convince him to drive us to a late movie. I'm good. He makes me nervous, Bib said. Don't worry, Carlton is nice. I can't wait for you to meet him. I think he likes me, Bib would say. Correction, he's actually in love with you. Carlton? Viv asked. No, Jericho. Ada smiles confusedly. He's kinda cute, so get on that horse. I'm talking about his car. He's got a car. She inched that fact with a friendly jab at Viv's chest. Car or no car, he makes me nervous. Fine. Anyways, I've got something for you. Whatever it is, just pawn it with the rest of them. I don't wear jewelry. Shut up, you like this one, because it came from me. That's the difference. Ada took her sister's arm and pulls out the crescent moon bracelet from her pocket, putting it around her sister's wrist. It looks beautiful on you. Is it really mine? Is it really mine? Viv asked, tearfully watching her sister's loving eyes. Yes. Is it really too painful to receive a gift from me? Ada said, as Bib broke down. Does it matter? Bib said, embracing Ada deeply against her. Don't lose it. I won't. Anything else? Bib asked, feeling the sharp tip of the crescent diamond. Don't wear it around Pearl. It's hers, isn't it? Does it matter? Ada asked. No, something like this should be worn and not hidden away. Beria must have gotten laid after giving her this. They shared a confusing laugh that withdrew as soon as they saw flashes of their grandparents young and making love. By the way, Bib would say as she took a hairbrush and throws it against the wall. Carlton is spooked. He falls off the bunk bed, dragging all the pillows and blankets with him. Stuffed animals clung on the ledge and came down on Carlton's head, burying him. A few were gifts he gave Ada. Not surprised at all, Ada went over to kick him while he's down. He's been there all this time? Adaline, he seems nice. I like him for you, Bib would say. And if he breaks my heart, would you shove that brush up his... Of course, love. Bristles up. It's a mercy. They exchange a look of divine understanding. Ada kicks Carlton on the rib, cushioned by his personal Sue. Carlton, you alive? He would open his eyes to the view of a purple bear's crotch, talking in a cute robotic voice, saying something in French. To me monks. It was a gift from their mother from a gift shop in the Paris airport. It would arrive 3 weeks after their birthday. That's for Mom, give her here, gently, Bib would say as Carlton took the bear by the neck and threw it at the vanity. It had a hard plastic eye which came into contact with the glass, causing an adorable crack to appear. Go back outside. I'll be out in 15 minutes. Leave us to debate your punishment, Ada said playfully, in a solemn tone of voice. I want to stay here. It was hard enough to climb up. Unless you want to help me. Anything for you, Ada, Carlton said. What do I do? Take my 88-year-old grandfather out of his Arctic bat. Oh. Oh? Of course I would. How heartless do you think I am? I love old people. Do you really? Ada sucker punched him on the side. Carlton was fast to block and pull away, laughing. I'll wait for you outside. Carlton makes for the window. The stuffed bear flew and hit his back, courtesy of Vivian. Ada helped Bib with the trajectory of the throw. Use the front door, doughboy. Doughboy? Carlton turns around, deeply offended. The poorly chosen word felt excruciatingly false. Ada, you got a real wonderful sister here, I swear. Go to hell, doughboy. Bloody cunt. Behave, Jesus H. Christ, you're both acting like kindergarteners. Silence prospered for a miraculous minute as people catch their breaths. Thanks for the mental image, Van Gogh. Ciao, go, you sister fucker. Bib was on fire. Carlton heads out the bedroom door, enraged by the unfulfilled sexual tension with Bib. He found it hard to let go. He was hard from the get-go. Yeah, so that's Carlton, Ada said, releasing a magical sigh. Charming. In his spare time, Carlton teleported into lucid dreaming regimens. He was quick to turn his consciousness into REM mode. In the front yard, he made base on a hammock. For about 9 peaceful minutes, he visited 12 countries and was 8 different mythological animals, dancing through hyperspace in endless metamorphosis. Then Viv looked out the window and saw the tranquil man swinging there. The purple bear made for Carlton like a comet. Carlton flipped over like raw meat onto a bald spot on the yard, waking him up with a thud and a dirty scream. Viv spat. It landed on the porch. She'll pressed the window shut and locked it. Curtains were let down. She let out such laughter, so dangerous in quality that it burned through loose material barriers to meet Carlton, still face down on the soil. Her centipede crawled inside his ears, using it as viable shelter from this point forward. Beria is dressed in his evening attire, getting tucked in by Ada. A towel is toasting on the radiator, while foot tracks and wheel lines made an abstract watercolor canvas of the hardwood. Ada kissed him on the forehead, but he was already so far into his respite to feel it beyond his dreams. Anything else, Pop-Pop? She'd asked, knowing his fakeries don't end with a conclusive kiss goodnight. Presley. That will be done. Ada began mopping the floors as Elvis Presley's Hound Dog began to play. She danced her way to recovering the room into its default state for when Beria wakes and Pearl returns. A diamond nightlight turns on as soon as Ada was finished. She closed the door softly. Beria's melodic breathing was livelier than air through the lungs of young babes. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Through the alleyway, Carlton and Ada held each other close. She'll take hold of his hand and pulled it to her lips, printing a red pigment resembling rosebuds. I marked you. You're mine. Arctic bats? What? What is that? Can you make me one? Yes, we could have one together if you want. How do you know it's good for him to have those? I don't know, he's crazy, but I can't refuse him. And your grandmother is okay with this? Actually, she's against it. She cares more about the hardwood floors. Don't get water on them or she'll have a heart attack. As per Papa, he's got shark skin. The cold is nothing to him. It's like returning to the womb. He's a child in there. You must love him very much. He means everything to me and Viv. Pearl could give a damn about Beria. Pearl's 30 years younger than Papa. Did you know that? So where is Pearl tonight? Probably with Will or Jonah or Marlon. She gets around. She's in constant rotation. Christ. Poor Beria. My grandparents were together till their deaths. They never let me and my sister feel any negative energy. Oh yeah, let me tell you. There was this one time she'll come home with a bottle of wine, the expensive kind. She'll drink them all dry with this widowed man from across the street. His wife wasn't even gone a full month before Pearl decided to be neighborly. Viv and I did what we could to keep Area from the kitchen. How did you keep him busy? We watched Dirty Harry at least 3 times. He's a Clint Eastwood fanatic. Never heard of it. I'd love to see you with him sometime. Of course. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about the best part. After Beria fell asleep, Bib came downstairs and caught the 2 teenagers exchanging spit. She yelled at them, "Get the fuck out of my house." She said a few cunts here and there. Her reaction was demon heavy. Scared the fuck out of the 2 teenagers. I cried so hard, embracing Beria, blocking his ears with my closed fist. Goodness gracious. Bev really called them out like that? Wow. Yeah, she's really cool if you get to know her. You're good. I feel like I hit the jackpot with you. Carlton took her hand and landed a gentle kiss. They got out the alley and stepped into the damp sidewalk. Wildflowers grew between the cement blocks. Carlton began looking around, exaggeratingly, to counter Adaline's prevailing sadness. "Which way to the pawn shop?" he cracked. "Pawn shop. What did I say?" They entered this pawn shop, which called itself Second Life. As if it were a retirement home or a Buddhist temple. Ada sets the pair of diamond earrings on the counter. But before she could produce the moonstones, a woman coming out of the washroom dashed past them, grabbing the diamonds from the counter. Out the door she went. The chiming bells came in harsh, as Ada fell on her back, and Carlton quickly recovered his senses to help her stand. "Are you all right, miss?" the lady behind the counter would ask, already pressing numbers on the telephone. Face in shock. Absolute terror. "Don't call. We got this," Carlton would say as he sped through the door, realizing Ada is out of sight, already chasing after the woman. "But I must report this," the lady would say. "It's not yours yet. Nothing is stolen from you. Please, don't call. Thanks." Carlton thought to keep things under control by subtracting the cops from the equation, and headed outside, having no luck at finding where Ada is. Carlton panics, running through neighborhoods and alleyways, untouched by any streetlight, but festering with animals on 4 legs, increasing his fear that he's in a hell of sorts, being played by a comical god. "Ada!" he'd yell, but finds himself losing his voice after the 1,000th time shouting her name. He retires onto a bench and retreated onto his open hands, worried and tired, being mentally and physically misshapen by the thickness of this uncertainty. Suddenly a little boy appears beside him, laughing joyously to himself, holding a giant newspaper over his tiny face, scanning the back pages. "Quiet, mister, I'm trying to read Marmaduke." "Hey, little bro, have you seen a tall red-haired lady running through here?" "I think so. Was she pretty?" Carlton laughs and ignites a spark he thought impossible to relit. "Yes, the prettiest. Can you tell me which way she went?" The little bro points straight ahead at an alleyway. A silhouette is gliding through worrisomely, below balcony lights. It began to wave 2 thin arms as if signaling for help. Look, mister. Carlton sighs with relief and pats the roof of the little bro's red cap, sending an innocent smile Carlton's way in return. I used to read Marmaduke too. I had this big dog Ramus growing up. He grew to be as big as you. I bet Ramus is dead now. You shouldn't share your sad recollections with strangers. I might not care. My mother thinks it's rude when people subject you to care. Carlton turns back to the alleyway, sees the arm still waving, and realized it was tree branches all along. He swallowed hard. Fearful eyes submit to the realization. He turns back to the bench. The kid is no longer there. Marmaduke! Nothing but the back pages remained, flapping its dead wings. Ada wakes up and saw glittering stone under the moonlight. A woman is putting on the diamond earrings, having a hard time locating her ears in the dark. She was a happy woman. Her teeth were twinkling in unison. She looks to be in her early 30s, a reddish blonde, wearing a dirty gold summer dress. Hey, give those back, now, Ada would say, getting her consciousness back, feeling wetness on her scalp, as pain struck her there many times over, with each attempt to move and breathe. The lady began to dance to the music playing in an old radio, 6 floors above them. Captain Beefheart's Well, Well, Well. I'm Tiffany. I'm super sorry I hit you. I didn't mean it, I swear. Believe me, little miss, I only wanted these. I've always wanted these. It's okay, Tiffany. Now, please give those back. Adeline knew her type and compassionately chose her words carefully. Why? Why? It's the nicest thing I ever had, she'd say, dancing and tilting her head in question. They're not mine either. Please, Tiffany, I want to go home. Why do you have it then, if it ain't yours? Tiffany would say, sounding like a little girl. Sometimes there's things we take from people that could help us get back on track into going places we'd rather be. You really mean things you steal from people could help you get more happily lost and derailed into going places you needn't be? There's no heavenly settlement anywhere. Welcome to my wasteland, little miss. You're nothing but demon feed, don't you know? And why should you have this diamond? Why should anyone have nice things? The soul doesn't need earrings. Tiffany held her motions. Her beauty stole the show as her expression shone from the intensifying light above them. I hear you, Tiffany. Listen, I don't even care about the diamonds. I was going to pawn it along with these moonstones. Ada pulls them out of her jean pockets, presenting it to Tiffany's restless green eyes. These are just as valuable as the earrings. Have 'em, in exchange for the diamonds. Pawn the stones and keep the money. I don't think you're a bad person, Tiffany. Some of what you said is resonating, actually. They're just rocks, Tiffany would say, taking a hold of them. They're moon charms. You could get 200 for all 4. It's a fair deal, Tiffany. She thought about it for half a minute. I could get more for the diamonds. This could help my son. He needs medicine, the good kind. He's severely sick. Tiffany began to space out and walk in scattered patterns. He could finally get that operation. He would have had it sooner, but nobody would spare any goddamn compassion. She'll empty her pockets and coins and ripped dollar bills began to rain on the dark ground. How is this going to help any? Ada froze where she stood, gave Tiffany time to collect herself. You have a son? Erie, come meet Mammy's new friend. She's letting me have these moonstones. Didn't you used to say you'll go up there and get me a piece of it? My sweets. Ada made for this dark corner, a small distance away, following where Tiffany crouched over. Under an apartment building's back door lights, a little boy is laid behind a dumpster lid, wrapped in layers of blanket and newspapers. Ada was unsure of the boy's state. Just that he shouldn't be there like this, like a dead rodent, inhumanely disposed of. Tiffany was fumbling piles of trash nearby, and found with much delight a red cap and puts it on his boy's head, lifeless. Ada stood just close enough. As the smell became too violent, she cried uncontrollably in silence. Finds herself looking across at the ends of the alleyway at Carlton sitting on a bench talking to himself. As soon as he stood up, she waved her arms for him to see. With all the strength she could muster, she kept her arms up as her vocal cords were too punched in to be of utility. Tiffany began to rock her child back and forth on her lap, laughing in despair. She'll push the moonstones inside the kid's chest pocket. Damn you, kid, quit messing with me and wake up. Tiffany slaps the child's face. A few rats were frightened away by the noise and exited a nearby trash bag. She'll raise her hand to slap the boy again, but Ada caught her hand just in time. Her hand was ice cold. At a closer inspection, the boy was indeed decayed and horribly decomposing. Tiffany, please, stop, he's gone. Carlton made his way over, looking terrified. He sees the boy in his mother's arms. Kid! Ada holds Carlton back from pursuing to retrieve the boy from Tiffany's abusive hands. She'll land a few more slaps on the kid's face. The boy did not wake. Let go of me. Hey, bitch, stop. Let's go, Carlton. We can't leave the kid with her. It's none of our business. How could you say that? Carlton was overwhelmed and cried onto Ada's arms as he walks beside her out of the alleyway. How about Pearl's earrings? He'd say, coming back to reality but not entirely. It's fine. It always belonged to her. I froze in solid motion. Well. I heard the ocean swarming body. Well. I heard the beetle clicking. Well. I sensed the thickest silence scream. They sat on the bench, watching the police enter the alleyway, accompanied by the paramedics. Neighborhoods were awoken by the frightening sirens and came to watch the show from their balconies. Tiffany exits from the darkness of the alleyway into better light, following the stretcher where her son laid, as it is carried by two men, ignoring the maniacal woman, making haste for the ambulance. The police tried their best to restrain her and placed her into cuffs, and gently placed her inside the back of the police car. He's just sleeping, officers. He'll be okay. Hurry. The cop car sped away as the ambulance carried the stretcher in and drove the opposite direction, towards the nearest hospital or funeral home. A madhouse, maybe. It is now dawn. They walked through an unfamiliar street, trusting that Carlton knew the way. Both blocked their eyes from the intruding sunlight, marking them with hope that the nightmare they entered would be easy to forget. The sunlight was nauseating. As it beholds such endearing promises of renewal, Carlton finds the house, sneaks into the corner and knocks on a window. Jericho appeared unhappily, wearing nothing but blue shorts. Fear painted his eyes as he saw the state these two invaders were in. You both look like shit. Let us in. Ada entered through, and Carlton watched as Jericho helped her weak frame inside. Put something on, Rico, Carlton would say, holding onto Ada's waist. Carlton lays on the bed with Ada, hiding underneath the blanket, closing their eyes in peace, dreaming of disappearing into new bodies and giving their souls a better fighting chance to be redeemed. A poster of Aubrey Hepburn stares down at them from the ceiling. Ada laughs and snuggles closer to Carlton with mumbled cries. What's her problem? Jericho asked delicately as he wore a robe over his body. That scene where she's in the alleyway yelling, Cat, cat, cat. It always gets me, Ada would answer, as Carlton watched the shine on Adaline's wet eyes. Yeah, I think we lived it too, Carlton cracked. The two laughed like they never laughed before. This new high was unexpectedly far out. They came down as soon as Jericho decided to find it funny too. Where are my manners? Do you guys need anything? A shower, new clothes, food, new friends maybe? Jericho would suggest, sitting on the foot of the bed. As the two teenagers squirmed inside their shared cocoon. Water. Arctic. Ada requested, eyes closing once more, hopefully to give in to sleep. Permanently. Or at least for a remedial amount of time. Carlton helped immensely and pressed himself close to warm her shivering skin. And Carlton, anything in the entire universe you'd want me to materialize? He'll have a banana, Ada said, making Rico lose himself, snickering insidiously. A what? Carlton said. I love you, Rico, Ada shouted. I'll be back. Their host left the room. Ada and Carlton found the car keys on the nightstand and went out from which they came. Carlton started the engine. Herman's Hermit's Silhouette began to play. The car drove up the driveway and into the empty road, shining gold and catching the morning fire. Jericho was by the open window, watching his car drive away, holding Arctic water in one hand and a ripe banana in the other. His dead stare could destroy a planet. Rushed out of your house with wings on my feet. Loved you like I've never loved you, my sweet. Vowed that you and I would be two silhouettes on the shade. All of our days, two silhouettes on the shade. 2 years later, Ada is on her way to work. She's riding the train car, most empty. With dark shades on, she'll stare at the void of an advertisement space. Suddenly, a homeless man from the next train car passes by on a limp, with mossy hair, an eye twitch, and a shirt worn backwards. He carried a takeout container in one hand and a bucket hat on the other, filled with a few coins. Finally, one of his open eyes caught sight of hers through the shades. Change. Ada flinches away from the flamethrower smell of the man's breath. No, thank you. Move it. The man moves along and is granted change by a few generous patrons, giving Ada the meanest look as they did so. The twitcher finds another giver and takes center stage to speak. God bless everyone. Even you. Ada squirmed and got off her seat, looking for someplace emptier. Inside the mall, Mother's Day was upon them all. Ada walks through the crowded shoppers wearing her shades. She'll bump into a few people who'd give her a prologue to a fight, without any action coming true. She'd find an employee door, pushes her way through into a long hallway with miles-high ceiling. Ada hears humming and metallic wheels grinding. A man with golden hair and a friendly expression appears nearby, mopping up the floors, stops, and dries his mop head. He'd look at his stretch of work admirably, guiding his technology right beside Ada inside the service elevator, humming a song playing in his massive sable headphones. Yeah, my sweet thing, I will do everything. What a beautiful feeling. The golden mop head would sing with eyes closed, pressing a button, knowingly without sight, but by instinct and repetition. Ada sets 2 fingers on her wrist to feel for heartbeats. Fortunately, she's still alive, and this man isn't her guide to the bottom of hell. Crimson and clover, over and over. The man continued to sing, eyes damn shut and in utter surrender of sorrow's seductive voices. Ada takes off her shades, pocketing it. They arrived at the employee basement. He'd be first to leave. Eyes came alive to bless Ada with a gentleness of speech. Good day, says he. Likewise. Ada walks out after the man's footsteps died away. She'll head for the locker rooms, running. The wet floor sign stood in her way, on very dry floors. She collected it and carried them in with her. Inside the locker room, a woman in her 40s, named Shanice, is looking for the small size uniform in the rack. She finds it with loud delight. "You're mine the entire week." Ada turns towards her. "You got the word nice in your name." "Shut up, medium," Shanice said nicely. "Ada," she said unenthusiastically. "Don't hassle with the meaning of names and your responsibilities to it. You'll overcharge your brain, Ada." "I don't usually interfere with other people's work, but earlier I brought in those wet floor signs. I don't even know where they go." "That's nice of me, right?" "You're insane in the membrane," Shanice would say, nicely. "Hey, what do I need to do to have the word nice in my name?" "Are you being serious or am I being played?" "Here." Shanice places her name tag in place of Ada's and wears it on her chest, feeling a cold chill enter her tight, small uniform. Ada breathes a whistle, touching seductively her new identity. She'll put the shades on and turns to Shanice. "I'm ready," Ada would say, laughing hard, discarding the shades inside her locker. "I don't feel any different," Shanice would say, unfeeling of her three-lettered name. "This is stupid. Give it back when you find yourself. Alright, Amrfu?" Shanice exits the locker room, sending a flying kiss to Ada, who ducks away as if it were a bomb threat. A toilet flushes on a nearby stall. Dawn walks out. Ada faces her. As she emerged from her medium shirt, she'll find Dawn's baby blue eyes shine away from Ada's smoker teeth, presenting a yellow ochre smile. "I'll be nice and you be Dawn." Dawn yawns, switching her identity with Shanice, formerly known as Ada. "That was your least subtle excuse to touch me. Get over me already." "Get over yourself. I'm actually seeing someone. She's good to me. Pure-hearted, how else could I describe her? She's queenly. Wasting her time would be like disrupting a coronation." "Shit, you got all the symptoms of somebody in love." "There's a nearby clinic in the mall. You should get that checked before it gets terminal." Ada looks down from Dawn's fluttering eyes. "Anyways, who did these floors? It's so pristine, the tan on my shadow is gone." "New guy came in earlier. He seems nice. The old man can sing too." "Yeah, I've met him. He was singing Tommy James in the service elevator. The acoustics in there weren't bad." "They're even better here." For a moment they just stood there, avoiding each other's individual remembrance of this nameless old man. "Over and over, crimson and clover," Dawn would sing, butchering the flow. "Anyways, did you confess to this girl yet?" "Mm-hmm, I did." "And?" "She rejected me, told me how we barely knew each other, and that I shouldn't come to that conclusion after just 4 dates." Dawn laughs. "The boss lady's going to kill us for being late. Although I love seeing her get all distressed. It's so hot." Another moment passed, where they challenged the silence on how fast it'll mold. "You never wear a bra," Dawn would observe of Ada. "Go to your post before I call rape," Ada said to the tension killer. "Dawn, how do you keep yourself so together all the time?" Ada would say as she tilts her head to listen. She uncrossed her arms as incentive for a delectable answer. "I don't know, but there's this relationship I have with time where a day feels like a week feels like a month, and a year feels like a decade. How is that possible?" "It depends on how willing you are to be there. Whatever there is to be here for." "Huh?" "Those 4 dates, for example. I was totally absorbed by each thing we shared, and how she performed so naturally in her confident skin for me. She invited me so kindly to her level of highness and healed me of my vertigo, of getting so close to the gravity of someone new." Miming to vomit, Ada faces the delicious romantic. Where did you go on these dates? Ada asked. I'm scheduled every Wednesday. I see her tonight after work. Is she a prosty? No, 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 no. She does my hair at the Samsara spa. It's on the third floor. Are you talking about Virginia? I'm sorry to break it to you, but she's like this with everyone. Kind, sweet, seductive. How else do you get boomerang customers? Offended, Don stood up. Hurt, she'll slap Ada on the face. I'm not a boomerang. She heads out the locker room and closed the door hard shut. Ada remained where she stood, smiling in reaction, and failing to catch a tear which surprised her. She takes a wet floor sign and sets it in front of her locker, where the single tear landed, but it did not bird a laugh. She hasn't known a dawn this overwhelming. Laughing madly, she thought, this is the last time she accepts a morning shift. Ada relaxed on a view of a fat kid drinking water from a fountain. She finds herself in a section of the mall called Garden District A. Ada usually begins her day dragging a black trolley across the entire mall, collecting garbage. Never does her eyes leave the fat kid, still drinking the mall's unfiltered stream, while changing the diaper on a huge trash bin. Finding a stone bench, she'd sit and watch the fat kid, drinking the world up, and turned to give Ada a look of shock and sped away. Ada admires the flowers behind her, picking up a gladiolus from its bed of wood chips and artificial soil, keeping it a new home in her chest pocket. Its petals were just peeking over the top, being all secretive. Hopefully feeling safer than being left to die slowly in soil which offers no nutrients at all. Dragging the cart became a workout, especially when it is filled to capacity, sometimes over capacity. The worst part was those cute incidences when she'll make eye contact with a random mall patron, making a shameless contribution, while she's still fitting the bag in the cylindrical container. At least wait till I'm done and gone, sir, Ada would say to nobody in particular, laughingly summoning the fat kid to drink up the wet bullshit being thrown on a fresh bag. Did you say something? The soon-to-be ghost investor would say, directly looking mad-eyed at Ada's madder complexion. Oh, nothing, sir. Have a wonderful day. A heavy smile on Ada was a sure thing of a horror. Upon entering Garden District B, she'll notice how wonderful the mountain of trash she made for Sisyphus to climb. She wished she had her shades on when subjected to look inside these hell bins. Sighing, her hunger made such desperate sounds accumulate within her acid trap. A vending machine stood in the corner, being hammer punched by the fat kid from earlier. He'd come out a happy Buddha, carrying an extra bag of chips. Ada watched with complete awe, while tying her hair back with an orange scrunchie, before she made way for the damaged goods inside that excitable machine. She pockets a chrysanthemum from behind her and glanced at its beauty, while thinking about thinly cut deep-fried potatoes with artificial barbecue flavor. She pockets it inside her chest bouquet. The gladiolus would wave a petal in greeting, and it'd fall to the floor soundlessly as Ada make haste for her sad bag of lunch. As soon as she got what her dollar paid for, she'll pop the bag with one hand. Its contents fell on her shoes. She didn't react, not even at the eyes that maimed to humiliate her much more by being witnesses. But instead, she produces another dollar and took the bag out, opened it like an ordinary person would, hollowing the bag in less than 30 seconds. Finding the fat kid from earlier, watching her from the stone bench she sat on moments ago, he'd be scratching at his left breast, all perspired and damp. Ada adds a new bag to an already overfilled trolley and makes her ambitious stroll. People did not move away and feel an injury pending. Yet Ada successfully met her vision when the full diaper found a nice spot and chilled in the trolley saying, "What's up?" She'd be in Garden District C when Janis Joplin's Cosmic Blues came on. Her mother sang this to them all the time when they were 4. Their mother was still a student then. Ada sat back on the stone bench and thought about missing Vivian and wondered why, despite being older by a minute and a half. Viv is the twin named after their birth mother. I keep pushing hard a dream. I keep trying to make it right through another lonely day. She sang to herself as she plucked a carnation from the soil and just held its preciousness far longer than the watching flowers in her chest. She pockets it as soon as Mobhead began to roll along in the corner with fresh water in his bucket, drenched in lemon-scented chemicals you could smell from Garden District A. He'd begin mopping happily, creating smiles with his water strokes, as if it were a huge brush. Ada noticed the shining guck of slime her trolley left behind, and how focused Mophead was to clean the evidence of Ada's ignorance. The shiny pad of smelling garbage led me to you, Mophead would say, trying to charm the young lady. No, don't get up. Ada was trying her best to avoid his eyes, all courageously forgiving and complacent, so she'd stare unblinkingly at the mandala on the ceiling, made of stained glass, losing their color. Ada saw a cold bottle of Coke manifest close to her face. Ada took it and finished half the bottle without gasping for air. I don't have change on me right now. It's no problem. Lord Jesus, thanks, Ada would say, complimenting the working man, reuniting with his mop as it continues to cleanse the air of its grotesqueness. I'm not the savior, I'm Edwin. The man shook Ada's hand with a grip. Whoa, nice hold, Ada said, weirded out by her response. We met at the service elevator. That was you behind the shades, correct? Fortunately. By the way, you sounded perfect, Edwin. A first prize winning voice. Explain to me those flowers on your chest pocket. He'd point with the mop handle. Ada didn't flinch. They're for my grandfather. He passed 2 years ago. I'm sorry about that. Thanks. Are all good? All good. Done. Take as many. Ada got up and found her trolley, blushing red. She'd be quite embarrassed with herself. Edwin nods her way understandingly. I'm sorry about Pearl. She's having a bad day. Pearl? Oh, no, you did not name the garbage trolley as if it were a boat. I did. And today in particular, she's too broken up down there to conceal her leakage. No worries, I will retire her. This will be her last trip. Ada would explain, enjoying her monotone lines to the delight of Edwin in hysterics, dumbstruck as holy fuck. Good to know, because Pearl is quite much. That she is. I suggest you empty her now. I'll help. Hey, you've done enough. I insist, Edwin said, pounding the handle on Pearl, leaking in messy chunks. Fine, let's take the scenic route. Ada began to lead Pearl through the scatter of people. Edwin mopped close behind, humming softly to himself. Oh yeah, my sweet thing. Oh yeah, my sweet thing. Later that day, she's swiping tables in the cafeteria, sparing generously, to hear the complete conversations of customers nearby, with no restrictive volume to their voice. A table with takeout from 3 different Asian cuisines is being consumed by 2 Caucasian men who just hit the gym. Now it sounded as if they're flexing their intellectual side, bouncing off each other's mental muscles. Ada knows it would cheer her up to sit down and listen in. Red Undershirt would begin taking a sip of his Thai soup. Blue Undershirt began to speak. She sits me down in her living room after having drunk expensive white wine. Then I asked her if we're together, like officially in a relationship. And this cunt, I swear she tells me, and I quote, knowing me further With your lack of rash, knowing me further, with your lack of relational experience, would make things impossibly difficult. We wouldn't last a year. There's this thing about her that's stuck in the past. She can't simply be in the present. How could she see so far with such certainty? Last night she called me quicksand. Quicksand! What the hell? Red Undershirt took a huge bite of lemon chicken and plowed through an anthill of fried rice. Blue Undershirt swallowed a shot of shrimp stock before addressing how he feels about Red's situation. Feels to me like she wants to keep exploring. Blue Undershirt bit into grilled pork and chewed slow. There's this thing my dad used to say. It won my crazy mother over. Tell me, Red Shirt said, dabbing his lips with a napkin, applying first-class tenderness. Blue Undershirt meshed his fingers together, all oily and marked by streaks of hard labor. Love is an excuse to flay your skin in front of someone. Ah, yep. You good? Yeah, man. Hey, what time's our movie? Soon. The two enjoyed their 20-minute meal in silence and left, holding their bellies in regret. Ada was a table away. Waking up from her nap, she began wiping their table. Noticing her empty spray bottle, she used what's left of her Coke. Babe, someday you're gonna have to cry. Yes indeed, yes indeed, yes indeed. Oh baby, yes indeed. Ada fills a sink bowl with Arctic water, stopping the drain with a balled up tissue paper. She splashed her face with violent waves. Gracie, a Portuguese woman in her late 20s, came by, applying pink lipstick on her plump lips. She'd be flexing her rose emerald dress, making poses in the mirror, not minding Ada's face, head deep in the sink bowl, breathing underwater. Everything solid, Mama? I'm fine. Ada lifts her head up, feeling a tad better. It was a false alarm. What do you think about this shade? I know it's not my usual, but trying something new is as close to dying, they say. Don't you think so? It's healthy to constantly become stranger and stranger to ourselves. It doesn't mean, though, that we stop being pretty, she'd say, charming Ada, who went back in the water. Very graceful, Ada would say, biting at her cold lips. That's it? Graceful? I was going for elegant or divine. I'm taking my sister out for an expensive dinner at this bar called Seeing Double. I miss her so much. Ada came back up for air. I'm sorry, Grace, I just really can't pretend to relate with you right now. You're Helen of Troy in that dress. Okay? Have a great time with your sister. Now bye. She went back down. Hopefully, Gracie's absence will grace her when she returns back up for conditioned air. Gee, Mama, lighten up. The fire is out. Quit dunking your head in. What the hell's eating at you? Gracie held Ada's back, despite the cautionary tales people spread about the traumatic incidents they experienced playing the role of a concerned coworker to Madame Ada. The deadening, Ada cracked. What's the deadening? It's the getting closer and the getting further away, Ada said. I see. Well, your head's no longer in the water, so I guess I'm good here. Gracie embraced Ada in all her wetness. Thanks for telling me who you are and how you got there. She let go of Ada and stretched to the door with her heels, lacing Ada with a joyful farewell from a subtle lift of a hand, revealing nails the size of Japan on the map. Ada was relieved. She was alone again. Her face went back in the water where it felt safe. Then those strutting heels came back, louder. It sounded like war drums. I forgot my purse, silly me, Gracie would say, unhooking from inside the locker expensive leather with a thong strap that she held at such wicked priority between her bosoms. When Gracie came over to check herself out in the mirror, trying to find an angle she had not yet assessed, Ada rose from the water and releases a light sigh. She finds Gracie doing her lips in with another thick layer of pink. I have a sister too, you know. Now I know. Were you close? We shared a womb. How much closer could two people get? There's two of you? Christ. Do we occupy Mars yet? Not for a while, Ada answered jokingly as to obscure her hurt. I haven't seen her in 2 years. I miss her a lot too. Ada sat on that statement from the time it took the water in the sink to empty. Your lips are bleeding, Gracie would say, handling the situation. Fuck, are they really? Shh, hold your mouth still. Gracie dabs a tissue on Ada's lips, wiping the blood clean off. May I? Ada nods smilingly as she remembered her sister this way, asking that once before an evening out, even though she hated anything on her face, especially those chemical paints on her lips. It burned her, but this particular burning she thought was necessary. Is it done? Do I look stunning? Gracie strutted through the door, hugging her purse. You look absolutely stunning, Adeline. Goodbye. As soon as Gracie left, Ada wept into her cold hands. She'd wiped the lipstick clean off and set her head underneath the faucet, letting the hot water run. It was past dinner time, around 9 in the evening. Ada ordered herself a bowl of hot ramen and chicken spring rolls. A mother and daughter sat in the next table to her left. Tall fake grass separated them. Ada saw the woman produce a storybook from her purse to the little girl's delight, snuggling close. Holy warmth is her energy, like tea light on the temple steps. The title of the children's book shone in neon blue across a red sky. A single tree on fire laid on chartreuse grass. It felt lonely, familiar. It is a book their mother Vivian read to them before bed when they were 5. Bib would sleep through it and listen, while Ada would stay wide awake facing the visuals. In the intensity from which her mother cried and lived the story as if it were pages of her life being told. Honey began to read as her mother Andrea turns the pages. Lucinda. There once was a huntress named Lucinda who went out to forest for wood. She dreams of building a small cabin for her 2 beautiful girls, a precious place to call home. That night, Lucinda had a reoccurring dream in which she finds this majestic tree standing on the peaks of a lonely mountain. It is an impossibly difficult climb, but for the girls she could endure just about anything. At dawn, Lucinda woke up. She picked raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and a handful of almonds and pine nuts. It was to keep her fed during her journey. She left her 2 beautiful girls in the calm springs at the ends of a thin winding river, where they will be safe. She promised them she'll return by sunset. Their mother was determined to see if the majestic tree really exists. On her way she thought about the tree and how it was enough for a roof and 4 strong walls. She would pray for Mother Nature's blessing, for the sun to overstay her welcome, and set on fire her indestructible heart, for the moon to grant divine passage, and the wolves to howl a melody to lull that heaving shadow. A willow tree danced above her. Its golden pink petals rained with notes of kindness as they kissed the yellow grass. The pond beside it was graced by its heavenly showers. She never saw pink water before. This reminded her of long summer afternoons, taking naps beside the chiming water, under the shade the forest bestows. We are featherless angels, the 2 beautiful girls sang, as they flapped their wings with the breeze and developed a friendship with the seasons. Noon was about to set. Lucinda has far left to go. Lucinda began her climb, certain of each departing step and its purposeful arrivals. The sorrowful hills came with the sight of scars and imperfections, as the light empties in some places, and the cold were spears of thorns on the skin. Creatures were no longer singing but were in mourning. The sun began to set, and her eyes were wide with prayers, and her lips were chewing on its last berry, the nuts. She lays on a nest of unhatched souls. Happily, she sanctified each egg. Finally, the night came to intimidate her sanity's hold on good soil. She savored her breaths, humming merrily to ward off evil thoughts. The tree appears, majestic indeed. It is real. It exists. She made her way closer to the majestic tree, glowing with a halo of moonlight. She beholds her axe as if holding her daughter's hand. A panic reduced her to tears as the tree fades away, and laying there is a stump with a gray shadow, sitting there, radiating with a tender glow. The moon hid behind the planet, and the stars did a tango upstage. She prays with cold breaths, reciting, have mercy, O Lord, have mercy on me. Her husband's scent came alive and struck her hard with jolts of fear inside her heart's core. His ghost memories blanketed her. Be with me at the peak of this majestic tree. We will dream before the view, a male voice would sing. The world is generous to loving hearts, of sound spirit and forgiving eyes. Lay my spirit into your arms and forgive me as I rest, and am to wake in another realm. Lucinda howls with agonizing cries, as her soul was torn into fragments and was braided into a rose that lit up the night skies. Her petals blanketed the world for a miraculous second. Then the world was dim again, dimmer. Suddenly a coldness caressed her face, and she levitated from the dark grass onto a majestic tree, which formed from the still air, branch by branch, until she is perched on the fullness of the peak. Below, her little girl slept, shivering and weeping, having night terrors of an unimaginable sin. Tiny screams exited her lungs, and smoke gathers around the world, eating up all in its path, saving her two beautiful girls for last. Stay here. They will be okay, a voice would say as she held onto the branch for dear life. They need me. The fire will get them. Lucinda called for their names, but only smoke came out. You did your part. You gave them to me. Now let go. Lucinda woke up underneath the willow tree. The dawn encircled the skies with blemishes of serene purples. Her two beautiful girls arrived with joyful bunny hops. Together they filled a wee basket with pink petals all the way to the top. A few would escape the edges, making a bag path from all the way down the thin winding river. Lucinda closed her eyes, unbelieving, yet her girls exploded still, with such indisputable merriness. They are real. They exist. Her soul opens its eyes and accepts the part of her that's leaving. Her body is caressed by two angelical stars as they outline her body with pink petals, drenched by the calm springs. The wind could not carry these petals away. Lucinda's soul let twin tears fall, and she lifted off as if those two drops were anchors tied to her neck. Lucinda flew higher and higher, beyond the alpines and altitude of the clouds. Outer space felt most familiar. She felt a warmth take her hand, and an omnipresent orb came alive as she opens her eyes to the expanse. Then a voice spoke, the same voice. It was her voice. You're home. 2 years ago that day, Ada is crying in Bay Area's recently repaired car, driving through the dawn-spanked roads near her house. She'll halt suddenly as a jogger passes by, giving Ada a gaze into the vortex of each insecure sob. Opening a window, she pokes her head out, trying to inhale the words for I'm sorry, but failing to exhale in time. The jogger disappears along with 1,000 white lines. Ada kicks open, with a heel, an underfoot thrower, receiving a cigar from a box. She lights it with a match, and this she'd exhale many times over, unapologetically, after each eternal intake. She wouldn't choke on the smoke which fills the car interior, but choke on the overwhelming sadness as distances were covered at the speed she went, going 90 on a 40 miles per hour zone. A single photo remains in the cigar box. It is Ada and Vivian as babes, held by a shining pearl and bare area, looking like a stud in his late 50s. She'll look at it in exchange for the open road for a good 10 seconds before she crumples it and pokes her open hand out and let the wind take it. Ada drove to a gas station, parking beside an available pump, and realized she could not afford a full tank. She'll pay for the measly liters of gas and parks in the corner, thinking about the young man behind the register, grinning openly at her as if in tune with the cosmic script he's been privy to, and of Ada's role in it. She forgot to buy a pack of cigarettes and was thrilled to meet this joker again. In the meantime, she needed to make a call, so she found a phone booth, feeds the quarters, and wiping fallen tears away as they came. She looks beyond the forest across the street, as they were swaying in unison to hint at the wind's direction. While the sky releases a sigh, Ada spoke after 8 rings. "Hey, Carl, are you home? I'm at the gas station. The one we went to when we took Jericho's car. That was a year ago, I know. Remember when we took a turn and you drove through the forest, deeper and deeper into it? Where the fuck were we even going? Then we ran out of gas. We tried to walk our way back, but we ended up getting lost for hours. Tried those berries by the pond. Got super sick and threw up blue. We found this huge tree and slept there. Gosh, it was the only time I didn't dream. We fucked in the cool night air and swam in the black waters. I could never forget any of it. Oh, then you got poison ivy that morning when you thought you saw antlers and I tried to follow you, but you were going too fast. I found you laying there and scratching and flaying yourself. Finally, we got out of there, found the gas station. We had no money and you told me to flirt with Job, the teenager manning the counter, just until you nabbed that lotion. I wondered why I didn't run into some ivy. Maybe we followed a different compass. I don't know. Listen, I tried your house today. You weren't there in your bed. Where were you? I packed some clothes, enough money to last us a few fun weeks. And Pearl's box. The car's been fixed for weeks now. I saw your reaction when I drove it over. I just passed the test and got my license too. Gosh, you didn't even look a bit proud of me. You were scared, that was what I saw. Why, Carlton? I can't leave with you, by Ada, Carlton said. Hours away in their bedroom, Bibb has cried herself to sleep on Carlton's arms. He has chosen to stay with her, leaving Ada to the cold. White noise got thicker on the other line. The breathing on the other end ceased completely. Hanging up, Ada muffled her cries and slammed the telephone back, head hanging low like a cut tree. Inside the convenience store of the gas station, Ada stares at a large bag of potato chips, wondering how many days it would last her. Suddenly, a kid zoomed by, bumping her waist hard with his elbow. Ada quickly grabs the kid by the shirt, bends low to make eye contact, and infuse necessary trauma. Watch it, kid. This place is not a playground. The whole world is a playground. Say sorry, then you could blast away. Lady, I don't have to say sorry to you. Now let me go. Ada feels a plastic string on her fingers. She pulls out a price tag, smiling at this cheap piece of life, intermingling with hers. Says here you cost $8.99. You cost about 2 large bags of potato chips. Let me go, twat. Ada tugs at the tag until it tore off from the kid's shirt collar. The kid with the septic mouth ran tearfully away, mumbling the word mama. Mama is holding a chocolate bar, bending low to give the dessert to her heavenly spawn. Kiddo, what the hell's got into you? Here's your chocolate bar. Take it before I pretend to lose it in my purse. It's the Bermuda Triangle in there. She laughs at her own joke. Ada came into view, and so she stood up to face her son's deterrent. That woman touched me, the little boy would say, biting into his chocolate bar and pointing with its chewed ends. She what? Mama said dramatically. Speed Racer here elbowed my waist. I only asked him to halt before he catches fire. I don't believe this. I'm calling the police, Mama said as she crossed her arms and watched his boy throw the chocolate wrapper on the ground, while Ada presents the kid's value to its mother by presenting the price tag she tore up happily. See this? See this? It was stuck to your son's shirt collar. If my grandfather was wearing one of his straw hats and a price tag was hanging in the rim like a Christmas ornament, I would pull it off. Right fucking off. Human beings with a price tag, unless you're a price tag, just doesn't seem right to me, Ada would say as she met the approving eyes of the young cashier sipping his coffee. Job seemed to have spent a year growing that chin of hair. She hardly noticed him. Please, not here, Job would say in a robotic voice, and least effective voice. In truth, he wanted every particle of here-ness playing out in his peripheral. Are you saying I'm a bad mother for buying him a new shirt? Why are you even touching his property? There are better ways to discipline my boy, Mama cawed. There are better ways, yet somebody put it in his brain that the whole world is a playground. You need to tell him about neutrality, otherwise he'll go from one extreme to the next. Are you saying I don't know how to discipline my boy? Carlos, come here. Tell this lady I'm a great mama to you. Mama took hold of the boy's collar and intensely shook her boy for an answer. Mama, can I have another chocolate bar? I finished it. She let her son go and dusted off his shoulders. No, sweetheart, we're going to be late for church. Let's go. Mama's singing today. Ada saw the two make an exit, the price tag laid on the ground next to the chocolate wrapper. Job smiles excitedly before Ada, standing straight and breathing better air where he stood, the side safest away from all the infernal disputes. Was that fun for you? He'd remark. No, I'd like a pack of Marlboro, please and thank you. Nice seeing you again. It's weird. The people you meet once are the most difficult to forget. Why is that? He presented the smokes and proceeded with Ada's payment, handing her a receipt. You still owe me for that lotion. What? About 8 months ago I was working early, around 4. These two creatures came in here, dragging in mud and leaves. I let it go because we had a nice conversation. Fine then, here's closure. Ada pays for the lotion. Consider it closed. Ada began to take her exit, a cigarette on her lips, aching to be lit. Hey, I'm going for my break. Let me buy you coffee. Ada lit her cigarette and blew smoke towards Job, assuring a showy yes. Make it black. Ada made for the exit. The smoke clears. Ada took hold of the coffee, taking Job, who produced the milk crate for her to sit on. He has made a little hangout at the back of the store. A wooden cylinder holding miles of cargo steel rope is on its side, refashioned into a table. Ada lays her left foot there, feeling most relaxed, taking a mad sip of hot black. My ex-boyfriend once said I reminded him of a loose razor on a child's hand. What does he mean? Ada produced another cigarette. Job refused her generosity and adjusted his crate a little closer to his guest. savoring his coffee. Do things people say need to acquire any meaning for it to really hit us? Job would say, is this ex-boyfriend the unfortunate who came into contact with poison ivy? Ada nods and delights in Job's observance. She'll finish her coffee and give it to Job, who confusingly takes it. What's this? A parting gift? Thanks for the coffee. Hey, don't go. Damn you theater people make me want to projectile my guts out. Can't you just enjoy this? Job said in a forgiving tone. Enjoy what exactly? I'm poison ivy. Job, you'll need a whole tub of lotion to get rid of me. Ada cracked, taking a hold of Job's coffee and drinking it down like liquor. Just be here. Exist. Whatever the fuck is next could wait. Right now, you have methane inside to release into the cold morning air. You're not poison ivy or a loose blade on a child's hand. Ada, don't ever ask yourself for permission to feel enough. This is enough. Job took his coffee cup back and finished it in one race. Ada sat straighter and raised her left foot off the makeshift table. Thanks. So, do you want to share with me some of your burdensome feelings? Ada laughs and crosses her arms, staring ahead at the morning sunlight, gasping at Ada's self-appointed mercy. I had this python named Jenny. I took care of her for about 7 years. One night she got out of her glass cage and bit my left foot. My girlfriend at the time had this gun. Out of nowhere, she'll blast 4 bullets, killing Jenny on my bed, her fangs still deep inside my heels, touching bone. I thought I was going to be paralyzed down there, but luckily, Jenny didn't have much poison in her, so I only lost a few nerve connections there. I can't move a few little piggies, but at least they're all home. I know it's stupid. My point is, I'd rather my ex-girlfriend shot me instead. I loved that snake. I grew up with it. And for someone I loved to murder her in cold blood was too painful to speak of. I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years with no regret. And I think about Jenny every single day. I'm weird, aren't I? You are, Ada confirmed, finding his eyes smiling. There's a saying. There's always a saying. Was that the saying? Ada interjects. We're slaves to what we can't predict. Ada stews on this for a second. Whoa, I never thought of it that way. I guess you could also say we are prostitutes to what we can predict, huh? Job turns away from Ada and was the happiest thing. Turning back to Ada, he says, Hey, watch this. Job took off his left shoe and unraveled the sock, revealing a massive snake bite and moving 2 out of 5 of the little piggies. For a moment, silence was untranslatable by the morning light, and it was okay for the sublime to bear no meaning. This is nice, Ada said. Shh, you'll ruin it. Ada waves goodbye from her car as he sees Job through the glass responding with a laugh she cannot hear. She'll drive past the turn Carlton made which entered the forest, and made a U-turn instead, for home. For the longest time, she'd feel a sickening orgy of sensations fill her soul stub. And so, she parked onto a corner, until she could simmer down. Her heart palpitated into a rhythm, so unique and inspiring, that she felt like dancing on her seat. She laid her seat back, breathing in the fine crisp forest air, as she pressed all the windows down. Her rest came like moonlight on a dewdrop. A memory serves as a dream. Ada is in a white spring dress, sitting on Barrera's bedside, wide awake and in awe of his granddaughter's cautionary beauty. Who's more infatuated, you or him? Infatuation by ounces or kilos? Mind your own sex life, Papa. Ada joked, making the old man twinkle. He's got a great soul. It's getting easier to pretend it matters. Christ, my girl, you're so naive with your bravery. I am just reminding you. Love easily won is a mirage. Make it so difficult for him that he wakes up in sweats. It will serve his drive well. You'd be doing both of you a divine favor. Trust me on this from Cheddar. Is Pearl's love a mirage, Pop? It's getting easier to believe it matters, Beria said, turning his body away. What about Mom? She's real. Bib's here, I'm here. Beria was fast asleep. Ada closed the lamp on the nightstand, and upon bending over to kiss her grandfather on the cheek, she decided not to. It'll take a few days to translate the hurt, Beria said. But after weeks of Viv making his Arctic bets, Ada was called to the master bedroom with a kind peace offering. The man held a bottle of rum, and they both took a shot, sharing a glass. Beria took Ada's hand and kissed it tenderly, as if a butterfly on a stem. I found this under your sister's pillow, he'd say, lines on his face curved joyously. Really, I didn't know about this. I guess there are some things you never share with your twin. Hey, how has it been having her set up your bats the past few days? Ada took another shot and stopped the old man before he filled his second. Lukewarm? Ada would answer for him. Beria's grin could power galaxies. Try lava. It is evening. Her car was left on during her 4-hour dose. The engine seemed to have died. She tried to start the ignition, but the car was completely useless. So she got off it, holding the few valuables she has in a duffel bag. For a holy moment, she stares lovingly at the car, and as her eyes drizzled, she saw Beria on the driver's seat. A beautiful man, knowing how fast to go and where. Something Ada is coming to terms into accepting is a hard thing to do. Thank you, stud, Ada said of Beria's mirage. She came by the edge of the road and lifted her thumb to hitchhike. Home wasn't home without Beria. Bib and Pearl resent her deeply. She's only half certain that Bib wants her back. After not attending Beria's funeral and missing most of their final exams, which Ada barely passed. The graduation ceremony was the last thing on her mind, or the dozens of college applications Bib already filled out for her. She wanted none of her micromanaging. Ada felt worked. What was left of her soul flew away at the embrace of Beria's Arctic fabric. A few cars honked. It helped purify her decision to be okay letting go. Bib could do what she pleases with her cut of the inheritance. Pearl is probably already putting the house on the market. Their mother couldn't even phone to say she couldn't make it to her father's funeral. She sent a postcard from the Philippines saying it was her last day of vacation. She can't make it on time and that she's sad beyond words. Finally, a silver car drove where she stood. A back door would slide open. She entered the back seat without saying a word and laid down, sleeping almost instantly. The car drove on without question and without trepidation. It is 7 in the morning the very next day when Ada woke up. The leather strap of the duffel bag impressed the mark on her face. Hi. Goodness me, she's awake. Hi, dear. We're good people. You're completely safe. What good and completely safe people would say such a thing, Wesley? Sorry, Carol. I'll shut up. Ask her if she's hungry. Okay, darling. We're stopping on the next turn for food. Will you accompany us? Ada met their kind eyes and considered herself lucky to faint behind a car driven by adorable angels. I'm Ada, and yes, I will accompany you both for breakfast. Thank you. Ada sat before the middle-aged couple with kindness orbiting their content features. How's your steak, sweetheart? Carol would ask, eating a huge cut of hers, submerged in gravy. It's overcooked, but it's still delicious. Wesley scooted close to say something discreetly. If you want, I can ask the chef if I can show him how a perfect medium is done. Amused, Carol would commend her husband with a loving glance. Steaks are the stepping stones to any great love, Carol would say, She'll cut a piece off hers, a perfect medium, and hands it onto Ada's plate. Try it. Then if you want, you can have my plate. No, that's ridiculous, Ada said as she tried to cut. It tasted sacred. Wesley, you made me very curious, Ada said, making Carol perk up after a chew. Thy will be done. Wesley would go to the bartender and ask for the manager. They exchanged a kind understanding, letting Wesley have access inside their kitchen. Carol turns to Ada with a searching look. Why were you hitchhiking? My car broke down. I'm sorry I passed out in the back. You were gone. Somehow we knew just to keep going. Where is home, Adeline? I don't know. Hey, is he really cooking me a new steak? He's crazy. He's a master chef. You can trust him. Ada noticed a tattoo, written on Carol's left wrist. A long scar outlined it for decades. Be awake for each cosmic moment. Ada reads it to Carol, feeling wonderfully consoled. I tried to take my life when I was 19, after we lost our 1-year-old. Carol took Ada's hand. Wes never wanted me to go through that pain ever again. All we have is each other. And you're okay not having any more children? Why would we when we got one perfect little girl? Adeline saw heroic hope instead of deathly sorrow in the woman's eyes. Finally, Wesley comes back holding a plate, certain to be a medium rare delight. I don't deserve any of this. I want a clean plate, Adeline. By the way, the cook is sorry. He hopes the young goddess will forgive him, and our meals are on the house. What? Don't question phenomenon, dear. Digest and metabolize. There's nothing more we can do but that. Wesley gave the young goddess a warm smile. Eat with me, Ada would say, pointing to Wesley's seat with her glorified eyes. Indeed, Wesley made the best medium rare steak Ada has ever had. Carol was delighted Ada enjoyed her meal, and Wesley did his best not to take advantage of the dessert menu, which Carol took out of his possession and returned to a lovely waitress named V. I'm sorry again for giving you the wrong cook on your steak. Please have a nice day, V would say, bowing in gratitude, being gorgeously dutiful. Ada saw her name tag and happily she asked the waitress a question. What's V short for? Venus. Isn't she a Greek goddess? Wesley said. Carol playfully struck his shoulder. Honey, control yourself. Yes, I believe she is the goddess of love and desire. Anything else? All three of them shake their head no, smilingly at the omnipresent waitress. Thank you again for your understanding. V left, like the 4 letters in her name tag. They return to the car inside a seat compartment. Ada retrieves a small book of poems. She'll flip through the pages at random. Each word was designed and patterned into a sequence of mandala. Full verses were refashioned into amazing shapes and in colors which matched the taste of having acquainted with the emotionality of each word. Carol looked behind to check up on Ada. Thrilled, she would touch base with her husband so he could see what she saw. The car remains in the parking space as Wesley turns off the engine to give voice to her beloved wife. Mine's on page 109, My Cosmic Moment by Carol Letty. My wife wrote it to honor our daughter. Joy would have been around your age if she was with us today. As beautiful as you are and as kind-hearted. Wesley looks back to seek the listening part in Ada and is awed at her truly present orb of grace. She would have loved your steaks, Mr. Letty, Ada said sincerely. Wesley sobs into his wife's arms, softly breathing into her bosom. Muffling his weeping, his eyes were closing in repose. Carol turns back to Ada, nodding with an air to her movements, which produced the level of affection that heals lifetimes of sin. She'll cue Ada with a smile, as Wesley adjusted himself inside his safe haven, listening for the
Prologue, which only the silence could bear to know and unknow. A joy so immaculate has arrived for them all, like the sun's unconditional shine in the morning white. Adaline felt capable of this directive to install new modes of her infinite being, for goodness' sake. My cosmic moment. There she lived inside my blanket of white, born from wires of my sapphire heart, swaying backwards and forwards, born of budding romance. 1 year later, her farewell began to dawn. So did her final peak of sunrise. So did the final drop of cranberry wine I drank to nurse my sleepless eyes. God, please remake her with sincerity and bountiful imagination. May her divinity power entire worlds as I perform the dance of cosmic emotions. Love begins and ends as misunderstood gospel. Be awake for each cosmic moment, I am told. Nothing more, until our very swift return.